It's been 1 month, and outrage in Houston has not let up. ICE out of Texas now! After the ICE shooting and death of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, a Mexican father and husband with no criminal record who worked in construction and was not the intended target on July 7th. Federal officers were investigating 2 Guatemalan men known to be driving a white van, according to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Texas.
I learned of my father's passing from a news report on social media. I recognized him immediately. Not from his appearance, but from his voice, crying for help as he lay on the street, bleeding out.
The Department of Homeland Security said Salgado Araujo attempted to evade arrest and rammed an ICE law enforcement vehicle, refused to follow multiple verbal commands, and weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run over an ICE law enforcement officer, resulting in our officer firing his weapon in self-defense. But the federal government has not provided any proof, has not provided a timeline, has not released the names of the agents, has not cooperated with the Harris County District Attorney's criminal investigation. That's according to the DA. And the ICE agents did not have body and dash cameras. So we started walking the neighborhood. How many gunshots did you hear?
Just one.
Driving the streets.
They woke me up to look at ice all over my yard.
Do you know what they were looking for?
I think the bullet cases.
Retracing the minutes before and after the deadly shot was fired, looking for the truth. And we've obtained multiple pieces of exclusive surveillance video that shed new light on the events leading up to Salgado Araujo's death and raised new questions about the tactics and training of the agents. There is one critical minute we want to show you that starts at 6:44 a.m. at the intersection of Wayside Drive and Market Street, which is 2.5 miles north of where the chase ended by Wayside Drive and Canal Street. To show you what's happening, we have to zoom in to the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Salgado Araujo and his 3 workers were sitting inside his white van, waiting at a red traffic light. They were headed north towards I-10 to work at a construction site. Look to the left of the white van. There's a dark, unmarked SUV in the left turn lane. But when the light turns green, the dark SUV doesn't turn left. It moves 1 lane to the right, in front of the white van. At this point, traffic flow appears normal. About 15 seconds into this 1 minute, the dark SUV and the white van drive out of frame.
To me, they are stalking that vehicle with the intent of pulling them over and making an arrest. And it turned tragic because of that.
This is Christopher O'Leary, an MS Now law enforcement analyst with decades of law enforcement experience. I interviewed him from the field. I was in Houston and he was in Washington, D.C.
I can't think of an incident where we would intentionally initiate a pursuit on somebody that was going to work in the morning. You would follow them to their destination and you would quietly approach the individual, try to have the element of surprise, identify yourself in a non-escalating way, and get their compliance. It's that simple.
Let's go back to the surveillance video we just showed you. Shortly after the dark SUV and the white van drove out of frame, the vehicles are seen by this surveillance camera. Look beyond the yellow fence. The dark, unmarked SUV is in front of the white van. Both vehicles appear to slow down, almost to a stop. Then the white van moves into the right lane. That's when a second dark, unmarked SUV appears to move into the rightmost lane. Then, all 3 vehicles go out of frame, going northbound on Wayside Drive. 12 seconds later, that same surveillance camera shows the white van going southbound on Wayside Drive and the 2 SUVs following. Let me play these back to back. Here are the vehicles on the northbound lanes. and then seconds later on the southbound lanes. This map helps explain what happened. The van was going northbound on Wayside Drive, made a U-turn on Denison Street, heading southbound on Wayside Drive, and the SUVs followed. This is surveillance video of the U-turn. It was taken from far away and it's difficult to see, but the location, time, date, and traffic flow match. We're zooming into the upper center of the screen, adding a white arrow to show the van and black arrows to show the dark SUVs. The white van makes a U-turn on Denison Street and heads south on Wayside Drive, and the two SUVs follow.
This video appears to match a portion of the statement made by the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of Texas, who said that while agents looked for the Guatemalan men's white van, officers received a report about a similar van in the area.
The officers' two vehicles, each with two officers inside, turned on their police lights and attempted to pull over the van and the men that fit the suspect's description. The aliens then fled, conducting a rapid U-turn and hopping a median to get away.
I asked O'Leary about these two pieces of surveillance video.
Is this what a traffic stop would look like?
We would not, unless it was a violent fleeing felon, we would not initiate a pursuit and try to, stop them in the middle, of a community. That is just fundamentally bad tactics. It's unclear exactly what their tactics were, but no matter what they were, what was the justification for pursuing this individual in such a way when they could have done it in a very, safe and non-confrontational manner?
Do these tactics make sense?
They had the wrong individual. It was a case of mistaken identity. So what was their authority to be doing this operation in the first place? Even if it was the target of their investigation, these aggressive and violent tactics are unnecessary. I worked with immigration enforcement agents for many years. I have never seen them conduct themselves in this manner. And I will tell you, talking to my former colleagues and contacts from immigration, they're mortified at what they're seeing. And they cannot justify it either.
We asked DHS and ICE about the agents' training, tactics, and experience, and we have not heard back. Let's rewind the tape. It was difficult to see between the yellow fence, but did you catch what looked like red and blue lights flashing from inside the unmarked SUV that was following the van? To double check ourselves, we reviewed that first surveillance video we showed you because it also showed the southbound lanes of Wayside Drive. Take a look. We slowed it down, and it appears lights are flashing from inside the first dark SUV and the second SUV as well.
This is the first time that we see flashing lights on surveillance video. What is your take on those flashing lights?
Unmarked vehicles are the standard in federal law enforcement, but it has clearly identifiable lights and sirens installed in it by a professional contractor that does this. What I can't tell is whether this was an actually professionally installed lights and sirens system, which is what you would want to be able to identify yourself as federal agents. The question is, did they have the right, Code 3 package installed, which is what would help identify them as law enforcement agents and compel somebody to pull over. And if they didn't, or if their erratic driving made people question if this was an actual law enforcement vehicle.
We asked DHS and ICE if the flashing lights on the vehicles were professionally installed, which again, according to O'Leary, would have helped identify the agents' vehicles as legitimate law enforcement, and we have not heard back. Here's the other curious thing about the flashing lights during that portion of the pursuit. We've obtained 10 other surveillance camera angles of the final stretch of the chase. None of those surveillance videos showed the unmarked dark SUVs with flashing lights.
A witness who saw the end of the chase here on Canal Street and spoke exclusively with MS Now says they thought it was a road rage incident because they say they saw no police, sirens, or lights.
We also asked DHS and ICE why the lights were turned off, and we have not heard back.
Why would agents who start flashing their lights then stop flashing their lights in a pursuit?
I can't think of a reason in my mind why you would shut your lights and sirens off if you had them and you were trying to get that individual to pull over and comply.
There's one last thing that caught our attention in the new surveillance video. Listen as the white van and the two unmarked SUVs drive out of frame. Sirens can be heard, but it's unclear if the sirens are coming from the ICE vehicles. The chase ended at about 6:47 a.m. near Wayside Drive and Canal Street, just over 3 minutes after the start of that critical 1 minute we just reviewed together. This surveillance video captured the van coming into frame and stopping on Canal Street. Video of the actual shooting has not been made public, but a driver took this video, showing the white van with the driver's door open, one of the unmarked dark SUVs, and Salgado Araujo on the ground, with 2 agents around him. He was later pronounced dead.
I've arrested terrorists and bank robbers in a less confrontational way than we've seen play out across all these different ICE incidents, and certainly this one where deadly force was used against an individual who's not the target of their investigation.
We've asked DHS and ICE to comment on the overall findings of our reporting and have not heard back. The exclusive surveillance video we obtained sheds new light on the events leading up to Salgado Araujo's death, raises questions about the agents' tactics and training, and according to O'Leary, there's a deeper takeaway.
I think as a whole, their tactics and their lack of uniformity and the lack of professionalism in some of these incidents is really concerning, and the number of deadly force incidents that they've had is really just alarming, and should alarm every American.
Over the past month, since the Houston ICE shooting and death of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, many things have changed. His family will never be the same. The memorial in his honor is being preserved for future generations to learn about his life and the circumstances of his death. And a sign that reads, Somos Lorenzo, or We Are Lorenzo in Spanish, has appeared where many have stopped to pay their respects, some in tears, saying this could have been my father.
Justice for Lorenzo!
But one thing remains the same.
Let me tell you something. Everyone deserves to come home.
His family and this community's commitment to seek the truth and justice for a Mexican undocumented father and husband who had worked in construction for about 3 decades,
in our country,
building American dreams for strangers across Houston.
Lorenzo Salgado!